reproduction of this content is not allowed without the express written consent of EBH Fitness, LLC. We're back.
All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Borderland Sports Report. We're at week 2. We do apologize. We didn't get our pre-week show in on Wednesday. Schedule just wouldn't let it happen. But we are here today for our post-week 2 wrap-up. And let's get right into it. We're going to start it off with the El Dorado versus Chapin.
Well, I'll tell you what, El Dorado, what everybody wanted to know in that game was Ray going to play. And while he did play and got a few of his yards, there's some concerns that come out of that game for El Dorado. I mean, the offensive line, which people were wondering about coming into this season, the questions still remain. And of course, you know, that says a lot about the future of the program.
Yeah.
And so, and the schedule doesn't get any easier for them.
Definitely, and on the other side, I mean, you got a lot of young players stepping up for that Chapin team.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, as we look at the Chapin team, the bigger question was Davion Singleton. The word on the street is he was in the concussion protocol, and for him, everybody was more concerned, obviously for the player's health, as always.
Definitely.
But could Evan step up and do the job in his absence? And boy, did he do it.
Hey, I mean, they definitely got that next man up mentality going on.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Evan threw for 205 yards, and Savion Jordan had, I believe, 4 receptions for 116. And then you had Brent Holman Jr. I was watching one of the wrap-up shows on TV, and I mean, they gave that one to Savion. But no, Brent Holman Jr. caught about a 65-yarder for a touchdown, which is a great job for him because he's coming back off a knee injury. So it's good to see that happen. But more importantly, Chapin is potentially demonstrating that they're a little bit deeper than people think.
Definitely, and they're gonna definitely need that as they go along. It's a war of attrition sometimes for some of these seasons.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And lest we forget, Canutillo is looming in that district.
Yes, they are. And that kind of segues us into the game that everybody thought was going to be the game in the borderland, and it turned out to be the game for Pebble Hills. But Pebble Hills versus Del Valle.
Yeah, I mean, what you thought initially in that first half was a tough, hard-nosed, you know, knockdown, drag-out fight, but Pebble Hills went in the locker room with a 5-0 lead on Del Valle, and then proceeded to come out in the second half and, well, put the foot on the gas, if you will.
As we say down south, they took them out back behind the shed, and
no doubt about that. I mean, it was billed as being going to be that game for, you know, a measuring stick for Del Valle. And what people don't know, I mean, they lost a lot off their team last year too, and you kind of saw that show up. You know, as the game goes on, you know, kids aren't as developed as other kids are, and it catches up to you. And Gael had a bounce-back game for sure. He certainly handled his business in the game, and between the running backs and receivers that did their part, and young Manny Fuller, Shelton Fuller, while on the offensive side, it was, you kind of knew that's the way it was going to be tough, and it was tough for him. But he still had one of those highlight interceptions, you know, from the game. But at the end of the day, the Spartans went ahead and vanquished their enemy.
And I think, you know, it comes down to, and we talk about this all the time, having that senior, well, not even so much a senior, but having that quarterback play with the experience.
Yeah, and that means so much in big games, and because they've been there before, and so they're not rattled. And we heard, you know, a lot about Jake Fetty last week, and welcome to the real world. It's a little different when you go up against that kind of talent that Pebble Hills has versus the week before against Burgess. Now, and that's the kind of thing that coaches have to weigh. I mean, you want your kids to get some confidence with the schedule early on, and then gradually, step up the pace in the level of physicality and competition to get you ready for district. And so this one was definitely a leap up.
So next up, we want to look at Hanks versus El Paso High. I mean, Hanks, I think it's a surprise of the borderland right now.
I would, to many, I know the media is kind of really loading up Scott Valise and all of that in the program. And when I think back to last year, I was at the game that was at El Paso High, and Xavier Johnson had a dominant game, and that was on the ground mostly. And Jude Blanco got his work done in the air. Marcus Porras throwing to Jude Blanco last year. This year, you saw Jude Blanco was catching balls from Marcus Porras, and so same kind of deal. I mean, so I would say to everybody out there, when I think about that Hanks team, man, it's kind of a wait out. Wait out. What they're doing, they were supposed to do, and so as the competition starts to stiffen, you will see what the team really is going to be.
Definitely. And but I mean, I always say you got to play the games in front of you.
Yeah.
So
play the
kudos
games
to them.
Yeah, play the games in front of you. You play who you play. No knock on anybody. You play who you play, and in games like that, the dogs are supposed to eat.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, Clint versus Isleta. I mean, after coming off the game they came off of last week, and then to lose this game against Clint, I mean, what does that say for this Isleta program and where they're going?
I'm sure that a big emotional win over Riverside last week, the Battle of 20, if you will, State Highway 20, and it in itself had to have taken a lot of emotion from the kids. And then you bring in a Clint team who is always tough. I mean, they just have a tough, consistent running game. They've been doing the same thing for years. It just doesn't change. You know what you're going to get from the Clint Lions, and you better bring your lunchbox because it's going to be all day. And so I think the physicality that the Lions showed in that game, certainly Coach Martinez down in Isleta has got to, just take a look and see what changes need to be made to ensure that as they move forward, that they're prepared for that kind of future physicality.
And I don't want anybody to take what I said wrong and saying that Clint's got a good team.
Yeah,
they're a perennial power here in the borderland, and but I mean I think a lot of people expected Isleta to win that game after what they did against Riverside. Yeah,
no doubt. I mean, they'd really demonstrated some things in that game against Riverside. Tough game, tough atmosphere. You really thought that, man, they are ready to take that next big step. And outside of, I mean, every game is one game. So for the fan base out there, for the Indians, just remember it's one game at a time, and you just clean up whatever issues you had from that game and move on to the next one.
Definitely. And then the last game we're going to look at is Bel Air versus Socorro. No, we're not Bel Air homers. Yeah, Coach used to coach there. Yeah, his son plays at Bel Air. But we wanted to look at we want to look at this game because, in my opinion, I think it was a bounce back game for Bel Air in some senses.
I guess in some sense, Bel Air's really been working on trying to balance out their overall game, trying to find some answers to, they had a lot of graduation things too last year, and so the team really over the first few games is really trying to find what their identity is going to be with so many new people up front. But for this game, I would say this, that Socorro had really had a lot of media and online and print media and video media. A lot of people had some real high expectations for this particular game. And I think the Highlanders over in that area, some folks took that like, wait a minute, we had a pretty doggone good team last year, and folks kind of was, you know, bypassing that, if you will. And you know, you can't do that with a team that's really, really fast and has demonstrated they've got the tools across the board to play some really good football. And what we saw in there was a track meet, okay? Y'all heard me, it was a track meet. And so it was a game where there was a lot of nasty penalties in that game. And what concerns me is that the chirping online, the chirping back and forth, I saw a lot of that in the game, a lot of nasty 15-yard penalties. At some point, discipline is very important across the board. Football teams have to be disciplined, and they have to be able to, when somebody is losing their composure, maintain their composure. Now, Socorro would say, well, we think that, you know, some of the players on Bel Air did some stuff to cause that. Bel Air would say, no, it's the players in Socorro. And there were a couple of really, really difficult plays out there where I remember one particular, and as Coach said, not a homer, but this one stood out, where Chris Davis catches the ball, goes down the sideline, guy tackles him, rips off his helmet, and throws it 10 yards. So it was kind of like that. I mean, but you saw blindside blocks on people. I mean, people cutting people low. I mean, it was kind of an old school throwback. Now watch this. In the day when, you know, I played and others played, that was, I mean, I remember some comments in the stands, people going, now that's old school football. Sure, but football's changed. And so the character of football is changing. So just moving forward, both teams certainly are going to have to clean up a few things on the discipline side of the house. And then on the Socorro side of the house, the Famaligi's O-line did pretty good. You know, definitely in the run game, pass blocking has got some work to do for sure. But you could see flashes in there where Socorro was demonstrating some things, certainly in the run game. Now their quarterback play from that game, the young man, he's if I remember right, he's a sophomore, and he had it tough. He threw 4 interceptions. Yeah. That McKeeby kid did it again, pick 6 infantry, about a 60-yard return for a touchdown. Oscar Martinez, one of the corners, had an interception. Chris Davis, at safety, had an interception. And then Cesario Alvarado, one of the outside backers, he picked off a ball as well. And so for a young quarterback, there's games like that.
Yeah. I'm like, they really threw the ball a lot.
Yeah, which really surprised. I think it surprised the crowd and stuff like that. I expected them to run the ball just a ton, kind of like a Clint game where, man, you're lucky to get 4 possessions the whole game, you know, kind of thing. I expected that, and Socorro came out trying to demonstrate that they are going to throw the football. So there's some film out there that's going to show some teams, hey, we will drop back and throw the ball. And they'll clean up some of the scheme things and, you know, bad reads and all of that, but they're showing some things that they're trying to change the culture down there.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's a good thing as far as the style of play, because it's going to make it funner for the kids. Yeah. It's going to make more kids want to be involved. And it's also, I mean, in today's game, even at the high school level, you can't throw the football, you're not going to win.
Yeah, it makes it really, really tough. I mean, now we say a running game travels. I mean, it travels in bad weather and all of that. But in this type of environment in the game today, man, it is high flying, let it fly, get it down the field, air raid style. That's kind of, it's fast break. Watch this, it's fast break football. Yeah, I mean, it's like basketball, fast break. So.
Definitely. Well, folks, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be right back after this.
Hey everybody, welcome to season 2 of Breaking the Music. My name is DJ Lady Dubois. I will be your host for this season. I hope you guys will join us because on this show we will have artists, musicians, DJs, bands on this platform that will be able to perform for you guys. If you're looking for something that's going to take your interest, if you want to know about the music industry, come on, tune on in. Come on down here for a live studio audience. We have everything. We'll see you soon.
All right, folks, we're back. Now, we want to take a look at some top games that we think you should be really on the lookout for next week, starting on Thursday. I mean, 1-6A kicks off with their district play, and they come out the gates hot. The gates hot. Franklin versus Coronado.
Franklin versus Coronado. Battle on the other side of the mountain, man. I tell you what, that place will be lit up with people. I tell you what, I almost wish they put that thing in UTEP's over in the stadium over there, because I'm sure you'd get a good 15,000 to show up for that one.
Normally that game is at UTEP.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I think with UTEP having a game this week, the turnaround was going to be just too much, if you will. There's a stadium cleanup and all those other things that are going to go with it. But boy, do I have popcorn?
And as Dion said, Terrell Owens, get your popcorn out.
Get your popcorn ready. I mean, y'all, bring your popcorn. It is going to be knock down, drag out. Now, at the same time, Franklin is a strong football team. We know that they handle Andrews pretty easily this past week, and Coronado's come off some success for sure, but they had a tough time this week as well.
You know what, though, man? It doesn't really matter about records when those two teams play. I mean, that's big rivalry game, and to have it this early in the season is just crazy. And so I'm definitely going to be there. It's right down the street from the house. So I'm definitely going to be there to that game. So we'll have some good stuff from that one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Sure, I think there'll be a lot. There'll be a lot of us there to see that. I mean, include all of the local media, Channel 9, Channel 7, out there, CBS, Channel 4. Everybody will be out there. It's a Thursday game. Everybody wants to see that, and it will be an amazing football game, and you're going to see the stars on the west side.
Definitely. Next game, Pebble Hills versus Eastwood. Man, that's going to be another good one. On paper, should be anyway.
Yeah, on paper, that is, I mean, I put something out on Facebook. I said, Game of Thrones, here we go, Here it starts. In 1-6A, it starts. Franklin Coronado, then, followed up by Eastwood and Pebble Hills. And so the matchups, I would say, at the quarterback position are pretty even. I mean, I'd give I ain't giving nobody an edge. I mean, they're even. Those two are two dynamic players, Evan Menjarez and Guy Ochoa. They both are lights-out football players, leaders for their teams. Yep. I want to look at, another piece, the running games. That Quarles dude we saw in week 1 and a little bit in Delby, I wonder what that's going to look like in the Eastwood game. That running back was big, he's strong, got some good speed. What you think?
Well, here's my thing, right? I think if Pebble Hills can establish Gael as a passer, it's going to open that running game up tremendously. Yeah. But if they've got to lean on that, running game, and Eastwood can put 6-7 in the box, it's going to make life hard.
We'll make it hard. Some of the stars over in Eastwood, you got Noah Medina, who's going to be holding it down on the D-line. And then also Conrad Joseph coming out the DN on the other side of the defense, and you've got a solid secondary. That is probably the one question I have about Eastwood is that secondary. Is what's that going to look like? I know that the front seven's solid, very solid. Yep. But I wonder about the secondary for Eastwood and Pebble Hills. I would say it's kind of a flip-flop. I mean, they got a great secondary. I just wonder about the, Jaramillo, obviously at linebackers, I mean, is lights-out, top-notch player, but there's 5 other dudes up there that I'm not sure. And so we want to see what that defensive line is going to put together and see what happens with that.
See, I think this game may come down to players that a lot of people don't talk about. I think it's going to come down to a player like Mark Torres.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if Mark Torres can establish himself in the passing game, it's going to open up their running game so much.
Oh, no doubt. You know, Marcus is very quick and dynamic. They got another outside receiver who's really tall. And so, with Marcus in the slot right there and him being able to match up on maybe potentially an outside backer who can clearly he's faster than, or if they decide to try and stick a safety over the top, 10 yards off the ball, Marcus is going to be able to get the ball in some space. And he has shown that he can be dynamic, elusive, and all of that. So it's going to be interesting to see that.
Definitely.
On the Eastwood side, if I may real quick, Max Mancia, running back in the backfield, I would look for them to kind of stretch the Pebble Hills defense so that he can get the ball out in space, either out of the backfield, little flare routes or little wheel routes or something like that where he can catch it in space too and stretch that Pebble Hills defense and make them move around and run. And, of course, Evan Minhata is running the ball as well, and Gael running the ball as well. So everybody's going to have to be disciplined this week because both those two quarterbacks can light you up with their arm and they can light you up with their feet.
Definitely. Next game, Montwood versus Americas. A lot of people might be saying, why y'all looking at that game?
You remember last year, man, that barn burner that came down and Americas had the game in hand and then they punted and Montwood returned it and then got a quick touchdown and then Mark Moore unfortunately threw an interception and then they punted again and then Montwood had it the last possession, drove down to the 10-yard line, first down, second down, third down with a couple of seconds to go on the clock. Quarterback rolls out, and there's Mario Ogin. Ball gets tipped by 2 or 3 people, and he intercepts it in the end zone to end the game, man. That was, that was one of the highlight barn burners of the year. And over in SISD, it seems like every week it's been something of a barn burner over there. So maybe that's no different.
and I look at that Montwood Americas like I look at Franklin Coronado.
Yeah.
Those kids are going to get up to play each other every time.
Every time.
So,
3-4 miles between the two schools? Yeah. So you probably, it's almost like you could almost say a natural rivalry. I know Americans would like to say Pebble Hills and all that, but I think Montwood being right down the street from Americas from those two certainly is kind of that rivalry type game.
Definitely. Next up, it's Letta versus Bowie. Matchup of 1-1 teams.
Bowie came off a big win this week after losing the first week, and it's as we look at that one with this Letta, they are going to be kind of trying to bounce back. I mean, Bowie, the teams are opposite. Bowie loses week 1, comes back, gets a great win week 2. Then you got Isleta, wins week 1, loses week 2, and so we're going to see which team is trying to either gain or maintain the momentum in that particular game.
Definitely. Here's one of the games that I think is going to be a really good one. Clinton Gadsden.
No doubt, Gadsden 2-1 over in New Mexico. They've been a solid football team, shown already this year that they're going to be competitive for sure in their district over on the other side of the border. And my concerns are when I look at that game, Gadsden has never been overly physical. I mean, they've been a solid physical football team, but they're not, hadn't seen if they're going to be able to withstand that running game that Clint's going to put up. That is a pound, ground, and pound type of game. Yeah,
definitely. It's going to be interesting to see 2-1, 1-1. I mean, Clint opened some eyes up this week, in my opinion. They've definitely showed that, don't get it mistaken, we still here.
Right, and I think if I had to, if I had to pick between these two, I'm looking at Clint by probably 7, a touchdown maybe across the board. And when I think about really all these games, I'm going to take Americas over Montwood. I'm going to take Eastwood over Pebble Hills. I love you guys over there at Pebble Hills, but I'm going to go with Eastwood over Pebble Hills this week. I like Franklin to win by about 15 or 16 over Coronado. Yeah, no doubt about that. And I think Bowie is going to get Isleta. They're at home. Isleta's on the road, so I like Bowie over them.
Now, I agree with all of those except for Pebble Hills. I think Pebble Hills just has too much, man. Then there's no knock on Eastwood. I mean, they're a really good football team, without a doubt. And they've played some. They went east and played a tough game.
Yeah.
But I just think that when it's all said and done, these are the type of games where the stars look to shine.
Oh, sure. And I mean, Julio Lopez always has those guys over at Eastwood ready to play. It is going to be a tough physical football game, but it's at Eastwood, and that may be the decider. I mean, that crowd over there, they're going to sell out. Y'all heard it first. They're going to sell out that stadium.
Of course.
I'm going to try and get over there for some portion of that one to see that. Hopefully the game over at Bel Air's done sooner than later, so I can get over and see some of the Eastwood Pebble Hills.
Then the last game we want to take a look at is Fabens versus Cathedral. And everybody's probably saying, why are y'all looking at Fabens and Cathedral? Because we want to talk about Fabens, that's why.
Yeah, we want to talk about Fabens, that's right. Hey, Fabens, kudos to Coach Lovadio down there, developing and building a young program. He's got an exciting young quarterback out there, sophomore, that if you guys hadn't seen him, you need to get out there and take a look. And they're developing him. They're working on the running game. One thing Fabens has shown is they're a physical football team. And so in 4A, they're going to have their games that are going to be tough for them, but they're about a year away. But they're going to get their surprises this year. And I look for that particular team to continue to build on developing their players. Are going to dominate this game this week, go to 3-0, and I think that people down there, you got a good one. Y'all picked a good one down there as the head coach, and he's developing that team, and you can already see it that he's step by step by step by step.
And it's funny you say that development. I think they're about a year away too, but I also think that they're a year ahead of schedule. Yeah,
and I think honestly, if you had a chance to talk to Coach Lovadio, he'd probably agree with that. That they're about a year ahead of schedule, but he likes some things that he's seeing out of the football team, and that's what coaches always do. They're looking for little indicators that say, okay, they're getting it, they're getting there, and pick a coach, head coach, position coach. They always look for the same things. What's an indicator that says my team is getting ready to really blow up and turn that corner and do some things? And so I certainly know that down there in Fabens, they're really getting it going, and look out.
Yeah, definitely. So that's the top games that we think you guys should be looking at this week. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Joe Burrow. I love me some Joe Burrow. Humble cat. I heard him say Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback. Now, can you imagine Joe Burrow with all his accolades talking about and conceding being maybe second fiddle? He didn't say who's second. He just said conceding to Patrick Mahomes. So,
all right, folks, and we're back. We're going to go through our top 10 real quick. Again, it's our opinion. Take it for what it's worth. How we feel the teams are right now in the borderland. At number 1, Pebble Hills 2-0. Franklin, number 2, 2-0. My opinion, those two teams could really flip-flop.
Flip-flop.
I mean, just really depends on what day of the week you're looking at them.
Good news, they're all going to play each other.
Exactly. And so at the end of the day, this is all going to work itself out.
Yeah.
At number 3, we got Eastwood. It's already starting. So next we got 1 and number 3 going head-to-head next week. At number 4, we got Canyon Teal at 1-1. Then at 5, Bel Air 2-0. Some of y'all are going to be saying whatever. They still got to play Del Valle. They got to play Parkland. We get it. But right now, today, they're number 5. At number 6, Del Valle. At number 7, Parkland. 2-0, Del Valle 1-1. Then at number 8, we got Americas at 1-1. Number 9, Riverside at 1-1. And then rounding out our top 10, the surprise of the borderland for me, Hanks at 2-0. Again, it's our opinion. Take it for what it's worth. Everybody's got rankings everywhere, so don't start saying it's our opinion.
Yeah, it's just an opinion.
Just an opinion. But I mean, definitely an exciting week this past week.
Oh yeah.
And those games we looked. I mean, there's a couple of exciting games coming up for week 3, and we'll cover those in our week 3, I guess, pregame show on Wednesday. And so be on the lookout for that. But thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good weekend. Thank you guys for watching.